Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And today a question from a viewer which caused me to think about my own situation and perhaps how we can identify maybe when we're going a bit astray. You'll understand what I talk about as I go quickly through this question, which comes from Olifrun, who has said, Ash, I have a question. You've spoken about the minimum amount of good shoes required in a gentleman's wardrobe, but also about how many is too many. Would you be so kind as to share your thoughts on what a healthy shoe collection would look like? No doubt there is no one approach, but your insights would be deeply appreciated. And basically, what Olifrun has asked there is the simple question: when does it tip over from being a matter of elegance and being well prepared to being obsessional, where we are buying things just for the sake of it? And as somebody who, for a long time now, on my channel and in my general life, I have championed the cause of elegance and intentional dressing, and that does involve the purchase of things and bringing them into your rotation, your collection, your wardrobe, so that you have them at your disposal when you need to dress well for a variety of situations. And I talk very often about the value of investing in good quality shoes, because let us make no doubt about it, you know, the shoes, the boots, the footwear, it's the foundation of the outfit. It is it's the basis upon which the rest of all of our clothing are built. It's pointless wearing a ludicrously loud burgundy blazer if you don't have the shoes to go with it. So it is well worth thinking about good shoes, but how many is too many? When is it time to stop? Now, I'll admit, I'm probably the wrong person to answer this question, because my shoe collection is obscenely large, right? I have been buying and collecting shoes since I was in my 20s. You know, I was a teenager when I bought my first shoes, obviously when I got my first money. And I learned the difference between Goodyear welted shoes and cheap plastic or cemented shoes, which were rubbish to wear, looked awful, didn't last long. So as a result of that, I've got shoes in my collection which go back decades, quite frankly. In fact, in answering this question, I looked at my shoe collection and I realized the oldest pair of shoes I have are a pair of Goodyear welted full wingtip brogue suede shoes that I bought in Germany in about 1990. That's how far back we are going here. Decades and decades. And I still wear them once or twice, maybe more a year, because they still look good. And I'm never going to throw them away because they have icon status in my collection. So am I an obsessive? At what point do I draw the line and say, no, I can't buy any more? So he's absolutely right. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what I think makes up a healthy collection. And then I'm going to tell you 3 things that you can ask yourself to work out, are you obsessively buying things when you don't need to? So what do I think a healthy shoe collection is? Well, I'm going to start it off with 2 pairs of Oxford shoes, classic dress shoes. Now, I'm going to suggest you need a pair of black shoes, maybe only 1 pair. I'm not a fan of black myself. I don't think it's a very versatile and exciting colour to have in a man's wardrobe. But what it is necessary, because you need black for funerals and the most smart of occasions. You know, if you're going for a job interview, maybe your wedding day, if you're wearing formal morning dress, you will need black shoes. Now, when I say Oxford, Oxford is just, by the way, the style of the lacing. Oxford is the sleekest, most integral lacing style, right? There's no flaps on top like Derby's. The Oxford is the sleekest. It doesn't mean to say that you can't have a little bit of broguing on there. So for me, even if I'm going for a cap toe, which is the classic which everybody normally owns, I would have a quarter brogue, a little bit of broguing just across the toe cap, breaks it up a little. And also the black pair in the bag, but also either a brown pair or a burgundy pair, depending on your personal taste. Now, I love burgundy, as you can probably tell, as I sit here on this summer day wearing this burgundy blazer. But burgundy, incredibly flexible for one's footwear. Wear it with pretty much everything. Brown, also almost the same. The difference is with brown, you've got a vast palette of different types of brown colour. You can choose something which resonates with you. So 2 pairs of shoes for your smartest days, black and either brown or burgundy. It's up to you. Then I would suggest a pair of very versatile and flexible derby style shoes. Now derby, just the lacing style, but actually derby style shoes tend to be more casual. So for me, and if I'm buying for myself here, after I've got my 2 smart pairs of shoes, I'm going for a pair of full wingtip country brogues, right, in derby style. Big, solid, it doesn't matter what colour they are. They can be burgundy, they can be brown, whatever you like. But it's the type of shoe. And for me, it would be a brown. Now, it could be a loafer. If you're a guy who prefers a loafer as your more casual shoe, go for a loafer. Suede, leather, whatever works for you. But it's kind of your second tier casual shoe. More often than not, you could probably, if you were a wearer of denim jeans, you could probably wear this with those denim jeans, no trouble. Whereas perhaps your Oxfords, a little too formal for that. But yeah, a derby style or a loafer as your second string shoe that you can wear more casually. Then you're going to need a good pair of boots for sure, because I live in a temperate climate here in the UK quite a lot of the year. Other than glorious sunshine, now we have a Mediterranean climate here, you also get quite a bit of rain. So you probably would want a good solid winter boot basically. And for me, I'm going to go probably, again, broguing. I love brogue. I'm going to go for a full wingtip brogue dress boot as my boot of choice. Doesn't matter what the colour is, by the way. It's the type of shoe or boot here that's the important thing. Now, if you don't like brogue, you can go for a plain toe cap. You can go for like a mock toe type thing. Or there's any number of different stylings. You know, Indiana Jones's type boot is one which is very popular. Something like that. Something you can wear when you need ruggedness. Winter's day, bit of snow on the ground, bit of ice, maybe a bit of rain. It's something that is the man boot. Let me put it this way. If tomorrow there was a zombie apocalypse and you had to run off into the countryside knowing it would be a fight for survival for the foreseeable future, you're not going to be picking your loafers, are you? You need something that you can stomp your way out of problems. And it's going to be, for me, it's going to be a Tricker's country boot, but for you, it could be something different. But that's what I mean when I say you need a pair of boots. You also need something a bit more relaxed. Now, for many men, it could be one of these more modern, slightly dressy sneakers with a coloured leathered upper, maybe a bit of a white sole still. It could be a driving shoe, but it's casual. It's something you could predominantly wear when you're just chilling out and you don't want to dress up and you just want to throw something on. For me, by the way, it's probably going to be a desert boot, which falls into this category. This last year, I've been wearing the Sanders high top desert boot. Absolutely chef's kiss. Love it. So for me, that's what I would go with. But for many men these days, I'm conscious, they like these sort of hybrid trainers or sneakers, which are comfortable, yet casual, fills that category. And also, finally, an adverse weather shoe. Now, we've talked about the boot, and that's for kind of your winter, very dark and dire days. But also, you want a shoe or a boot which can drive you down the street in comfort, maybe when it's raining a little. And what I mean by that is, think of the sole. Your dress Oxfords are likely going to be the sleek, sexy leather sole type. So for your adverse weather shoe, could be the same as your dress Oxford, but with a day-night sole or a rubber composite sole. It doesn't have to be day-night, it's a brand name, but it could be a rubber style sole. Other companies call them urban soles or city soles, but a rubber sole, good traction, good grip, a good shoe to wear on a winter formal event perhaps, but you'll need an adverse weather shoe. Now in total, I've picked about 5 or 6 pairs of shoes or boots there. Each has a distinct function. Some are quite flexible, others less so. But beyond that, we're then heading into the world of taste, right? for a variety of reasons. You might wish to lean into a more old style aesthetic. So you're going for shoes, maybe a button-up type boot, something like that. You might prefer something a little avant-garde, you know, like a wingtip brogue shoe, which has got maybe a vamp made of tweed and the body made of leather. You're into the realms of taste here, but they are superfluous to your essentials. And that's what I think is what is the necessity of a shoe collection. Now, beyond that point, there comes a stage where style trips over into compulsion, and you will find yourself seeking out shoes even when you really don't know what you want them for. And I've got 3 little ideas here which you can ask yourself, do I do this? And if you do, maybe you are a little bit obsessed with footwear. Now, the first question you can ask yourself is, are you constantly shopping even though you don't really need anything? So you've got those 6 pairs of shoes I've just talked about. You're very happy with your shoe collection. Whatever invite comes through the door, whatever social event you're invited to attend, you know you've got the right shoe for it. But still, you keep looking. You keep wanting to find that perfect pair of shoes. Maybe you can't find the exact colour of brown that you've always wanted in a certain semi-brogue with a certain type of sole. There's any number of permutations that you can come up with in your brain if you want to. And you can say to yourself, if you see a pair of shoes, particularly this is happening a lot these days because of Vinted and eBay, because clearly this is breaking down the barriers which prevented a lot of us buying loads of shoes in the past. And that barrier was money, cost. Now, these shoes are largely accessible a lot more cheaply because of online auction sites, and we can buy them at will, right? Because they're not prohibitively expensive anymore. And also the internet allows us to buy more shoes from things like factory outlets and things like that, much cheaper than at any point in previous history when we were limited to shopping at physical stores. Now the world is our oyster, so we can buy recklessly. And we're always trying to find that perfect oxblood shoe with the certain configuration of brogues that I just wanted. And whatever happens, even if you find it, you're looking for another one, or a different colour, or a different style, or something of that nature. How can you prevent this happening? Well, if that explains your ideology towards footwear, do what I do. At the bottom of my wardrobe, I have a double shoe rack which only holds a certain number of pairs of shoes. And it's full. It's always full, right? My shoe collection is a little bit definitely bordering on the obsessive. But what I do right now is this. If I want to buy a new pair of shoes, I've already consciously said to myself, something new comes in, something old has to go out. If I'm going to buy something new, something has to leave the collection because only X number of shoes fits this storage area, and that's all I'm ever going to own. And it really does help to focus the mind. Do I really want this? Because what I've got right now, I love them. Which one has got to go to bring a new one in? And if you think of it in those terms, it really helps you to get your head around the fact that you can only own 20, 30, 10, 5, whatever fits your life, pairs of shoes. If one comes in, an old one has to go. Helps keep it real. Now, the next question you've got to ask yourself is, maybe I'm buying too many clothes, shoes particularly, because I'm dressing for other people more than myself. And, you know, we live in an Instagram world today. Many people take photographs of their clothing and they put it out there for people to see. Clothing of the day, shoes of the day, all this sort of thing. And you enjoy the plaudits when people will, you know, give you a thumbs up or whatever on your image. And you then feel somewhat compelled to wear something different every day, or not to wear that same pair of shoes too often in rotation. Same can be said if you work in an environment where you often get complimented upon your appearance. So maybe you're an office worker and your co-workers who know you for being an intentionally well-dressed man will say, wow, loving those brogues today, sir. They've got a fabulous shine on them. Now you're thinking, can't wear these again for a few more days. The guys have noticed them. And if you're a bit of a compliment grabber, you enjoy it, it elevates you for people to tell you you're looking good. You're going to want to actually build a larger collection of items to have more access to have those different rotations of clothing within your outfit. And if that is you, you might not even realize you're doing it. If you are buying more clothes in because you want to put more things into your rotation, maybe you're not dressing for yourself and you're dressing for others. Now, my little tip to avoid this is, if you are dressing, if you're a, shall we say, an Instagram person, go dark for a week. Stop posting those images of yourself. And you might find that that sense of pressure you put yourself under to look different entirely every day, different clothes, different ties and shoes, it'll go away. Nobody else really notices what you're wearing day to day other than you. But if you are emphasizing it by posting images or putting it out there to your co-workers, saying to them, what do you think of the new shoes? They're going to make compliments on it. They're going to make comments. Don't do that. Avert yourself from putting yourself in positions where you're likely to get those compliments. If it comes to shoes in the workplace, like wear, a similar pair of black shoes all week. I'm not saying that wear one pair every day. It's best to rest a pair of leather shoes, wear them every other day. It allows them to dry out a little between wearings. But wear a black pair of shoes every day for a week. People are not going to notice the difference. They're going to stop passing compliments. Takes the pressure off you. Now, my final question about whether or not you're a shoe obsessive to pose to yourself is this. Are you buying things because you get this feeling that your sense of style is fragile and that maybe you will become stale in appearance if you don't keep buying new things? And this is what compels you to keep buying new shoes, different colors, different styles. And you feel an urge to, every time there's a new seasonal drop of shoes, and the same goes for clothes, by the way, if you feel compelled to buy the latest shirts because they've got a new logo on them or a different color comes out in a brand that you follow, right? But particularly for shoes, if you feel that you have to buy the new ones to remain relevant with people out there. So shall we say, a shoe brand that you follow have just brought out a forest green colored pair of shoes. Now, it doesn't really fit in with your palette of style, but you think, well, I'll go and buy it anyway because it's new. And people will know that these are the new Crockett & Jones forest green loafers or whatever. I'm making that up, by the way, but you know what I mean. You feel that compulsion. What I would say to you is this. Remember why you got into dressing well and buying good shoes in the first place. It was about elegance. It is about simplicity. And it's actually about having something of a uniform to wear, that you don't have to worry about keeping up with trends, because as we know, style is permanent, fashion is fleeting, and trends change every year. If you get stuck in that mindset, it's like circling the plug hole, right? You get faster and faster, you keep buying more stuff. Before you know it, your house is packed with crap that you can't get rid of. It's far more sensible to make a small number of considered purchases, particularly in shoes, because a good pair of Goodyear welted shoes is going to last you potentially a lifetime. So you don't have to own 30 pairs of them, right? You only have to own a few that you can wear in rotation. Do not feel that compulsion to go out and buy a new color or a new style, because it's not necessary. If you own the 6 pairs that we've talked about, they will carry you through life. You don't have to worry about fragile style or, becoming stale as regards to trends. Because if you are a true intentionally well-dressed man, you are setting the style of those around you. You are not following the trends of others. So there we go, folks. Just remember a few things. Build a collection of footwear. Don't hoard them. And as I say, remember, a good wardrobe, be it clothes, be it your footwear particularly, it supports your life. It doesn't become a burden on it. So if you're worrying about, buying a next pair of shoes, how much money it's going to cost, should I have, buy 2 pairs, should I have a green pair, should I have a blue pair, I don't have a blue pair of shoes, I need to go out and buy a pair. No, you don't. You got a black pair, you got a brown pair or a burgundy pair, you're sorted. You don't really need anything else. Simplicity and elegance is the game we're in. Ask yourself those questions, be honest, and take the advice if you find you've slipped into those traps. And I hope that today has been some assistance. And I thank Olifron for asking the question. If you have a question for me, drop it into an email or even drop it into the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. You'll get my advice. Simple, ordinary guy that I am. Yes, I've lived a life and I've made a few mistakes, and I can give you the benefit of my learning. Don't forget, if you'd like to come on the journey with me towards Chap Nirvana, you can become one of my patrons. Patrons get extra videos every week for a tiny monthly fee and a personal one-to-one dialogue with me if you want to have that. And the link to my Patreon page is in the show notes below. By the way, you can join it for free. Some of my content costs nothing. It'd be great to have you on the journey. So, until the next time, put the shoes down. You have enough, sir. I'll speak to you again very soon.